What would you do if a cop walked up to your window right now and decided your first 10 seconds looked suspicious? In those first 10 seconds, the officer's already judging your hands, your voice, your movements, and your words. And if you say the wrong thing, a simple stop can turn into questions, a search, or handcuffs fast. Hit subscribe right now because what I'm about to show you could keep a routine traffic stop from turning into a nightmare. Smash like before you forget this, because you will not remember it unless you hear it now. Here's what you're about to learn. The first sentence that makes you look calm instead of dangerous. The exact line that shuts down a mind if I take a look search request. The question that tells you whether the stop is actually over. And the one mistake almost everyone makes when the officer starts chatting like it's casual. Most people have no idea that traffic stops are built on tiny signals. A fast reach, a nervous joke, a long story nobody asked for. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos and the same pattern keeps showing up. Drivers talk too much, move too fast, and give away control before they even know what happened. Former police officers have confirmed this works when you stay calm, stay clear, and stop volunteering extra information. Now let's talk about why this matters so much. The first 10 seconds are not just about safety. They shape the whole stop. If you look jumpy, the officer gets more alert. If you start digging around before being told, it can look like you're hiding something or reaching for something dangerous. If you answer every casual question, you can hand over facts the officer did not have a minute earlier. Here's the reality. A lot of drivers think being super nice means saying yes to everything. It doesn't. Being calm and respectful is smart. Giving up your rights is not. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. You can be polite, follow lawful orders, and still protect yourself. Let me show you exactly how to do that without sounding rude, scared, or combative. The first thing cops notice is your hands and your movement. Before your license even matters, your hands matter. If your hands disappear, if you lean hard to the right, if you start digging in your glove box before the officer reaches the door, that officer's brain is already on high alert. So you need to slow the whole scene down. Here's exactly what you say. Officer, my hands are on the wheel. Please tell me how you want me to get my license and registration. Word for word. Memorize that line. It does 3 powerful things. First, it shows you're not a threat. Second, it makes the officer give clear directions. Third, it keeps you from making sudden movements that look bad on camera. Watch what happens when you say that calmly. The officer now has less reason to claim you were acting strange, reaching, hiding, or lunging. Bad way. Most drivers say, hang on, it's in here somewhere, then start digging under papers and seat cushions. Then the officer gets tense, starts commanding louder, and the whole stop gets worse. Good way. Smart drivers say, Officer, my hands are on the wheel. Please tell me how you want me to get my license and registration. Then the officer controls the timing and you look calm, respectful, and safe. This sounds simple, but it changes everything. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because it helps kill the claim that you were making suspicious movements. If your registration is in the glove box, say that. If your wallet is in your back pocket, say that. Then wait. Here's the reality. You do not get points for moving first. You get safety by moving last and moving only when directed. This is 100% legal. You're not refusing. You're asking for safe instructions. And there's legal backup for this. Pennsylvania versus Mims says officers can order you out of the car during a lawful stop. Plain English. The officer has extra control over safety during the stop. That means your job is not to surprise them. Your job is to stay still, keep your hands visible, and follow clear commands. Listen closely because this is critical. If the officer can legally control movement, then your smartest move is to make every movement obvious, slow, and announced. Let me show you exactly why that matters. If you reach first, the officer may later say your actions raised concern. If you speak first and narrate your movement, the video often shows you were calm and careful. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection in that first contact window. Bad way. Most drivers say, I'm just getting my stuff, relax. Then the officer hears attitude and sees fast movement. Now the stop has tension. Good way. Smart drivers say, my wallet is in my back pocket. How would you like me to reach for it? Then the officer sees control, not chaos. And that first impression sticks. Once the officer thinks you're a problem, every answer you give gets filtered through that belief. So do not give them that opening. Keep both hands where they can be seen. Roll the window enough to talk. Turn the music off. If it's dark, turn on the interior light. Then use that exact sentence and wait. It's simple because simple works. Have you ever been asked for your documents while you were still reaching for them? Drop a comment below. Still with me? Good. Hit like if this is already changing how you think about traffic stops. The second thing cops notice is how much you talk. Most drivers think silence looks guilty. In real life, non-stop talking causes more damage. Officers often start with friendly little questions like, where are you headed? Where are you coming from? Why are you in such a rush? Those questions sound harmless. They are not harmless. They are often used to look for nervousness, contradictions, and excuses to keep digging. Here's the trick they don't want you knowing. You do not have to help build a case against yourself with casual conversation. You can be respectful without giving a full story. Here's exactly what you say. Officer, I'd like to handle the reason for the stop, and I choose to remain silent about anything else. Word for word. Memorize that line too. It is calm, it is clear, it is not rude, and it shuts down the biggest trap in a traffic stop, which is your own mouth. Former police officers have confirmed this works because it tells the officer you understand the stop has limits. You are not arguing. You are narrowing the conversation to the actual traffic issue. Bad way. Most drivers say, I'm coming from my friend's place, but I only had one drink and I'm not in a rush and the car isn't mine. Then the officer suddenly has 5 new things to ask about. Good way. Smart drivers say, Officer, I'd like to handle the reason for the stop, and I choose to remain silent about anything else. Then the conversation stays smaller, cleaner, and safer. Watch what happens when people ignore this. They try to sound relaxed. They overshare. They guess. They joke. Then their own words create suspicion. One sentence becomes 5 minutes of questions. 5 minutes becomes, mind if I take a quick look? That is how routine stops grow teeth. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and oversharing is one of the fastest ways drivers talk themselves into trouble. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because it makes clear that you stopped giving investigative answers. That matters. And the legal backup is strong. The Fifth Amendment protects your right to remain silent. In plain English, you do not have to answer questions that could help the government build a case against you. Hebel versus 6th Judicial District is also worth knowing. Plain English? In some states, if you are lawfully stopped, you may have to identify yourself, but that does not mean you have to explain your whole life story. Name and documents may be required. A free interview is not. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. So give what the law clearly requires in your state, but do not volunteer extra details just because the officer sounds casual. That friendly chat is often the bridge into a deeper investigation. You're not trying to win a debate. You're trying to leave safely with fewer problems than you started with. So if the officer asks, "Where are you headed tonight?" you do not need a long answer. You can calmly say, "Officer, I'd like to handle the reason for the stop, and I choose to remain silent about anything else." Then stop talking. Silence feels awkward. Silence also protects you. The third thing cops notice is whether you'll give consent. And this is huge. If an officer asks, "You mind if I look in the car?" That question is not small. It is the whole game. The second you say yes, you hand over one of your strongest protections. And many drivers say yes because they think refusing looks guilty. It does not. Refusing consent is a right. This is 100% legal. Here's exactly what you say. "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." Short, clean, no extra words. Memorize that line exactly. Do not say, "I guess so." Do not say, "I mean, I have nothing to hide." Do not say, "Only the trunk." Consent grows. Once you start giving pieces away, it gets messy fast. Good drivers keep it simple. "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." That line matters because it makes the record clear. If the officer searches anyway, your refusal may matter later in court. If you say yes, you make the fight much harder. Bad way. Most drivers say, "Sure, go ahead, I've got nothing to hide." Then the officer searches everything, finds something old, strange, borrowed, or misunderstood, and now you're stuck explaining it. Good way. Smart drivers say, "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." Then the officer either needs real legal grounds, or the search should stop right there. Here's why this works in plain English. The Fourth Amendment protects you from unreasonable searches. Schneckloth vs. Bustamante made clear that consent can make a search valid even without a warrant. Plain English? If you say yes, you just did the officer's job for them. Knowles v. Iowa also matters. Plain English? A traffic ticket by itself does not give police automatic power to search your whole car. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection when the stop starts shifting from traffic to fishing expedition, so never help that shift. Now, if the officer says they have probable cause, or claims to smell something illegal or brings up a dog, that is a different legal fight. But even then, you still do not consent. Your line stays the same. "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." That protects the record. It tells the camera you did not agree. And it keeps you from making one of the costliest mistakes of your life, just because you felt pressured in the moment. And notice something important. You can refuse without attitude. No yelling, no sarcasm, no speeches about freedom, just calm words. The calmer you are, the stronger you look, the more respectful you are, the harder it is to paint you as aggressive. Former police officers have confirmed this works because a calm refusal is harder to escalate than a loud one. Say the line once. If needed, say it again. Then stop talking. 90% of drivers don't know what's coming next. If you're still here, you're already ahead of almost everyone on the road. If you've made it this far, drop a comment saying "I'm still here." because the next part is the one people remember too late. The fourth thing cops notice is whether you understand when the stop is over. This part saves people all the time. Many stops should end after the warning or ticket, but officers sometimes keep talking and keep fishing. They hand back your documents, then ask one more question, then another, then they ask for consent to search. That is where a lot of drivers get trapped because they do not realize the stop may already be done. Here's exactly what you say. Officer, am I free to leave? 5 simple words. If the answer is yes, leave calmly. If the answer is no, then the officer is saying you are still detained and that matters. Bad way. Most drivers say, yeah, what's up, after getting their documents back. Then the officer keeps the conversation going and opens the door to more questions and a search request. Good way. Smart drivers say, officer, am I free to leave? Then the stop either ends, or the officer must make clear that you are still being detained. This matters because of Rodriguez versus United States. Plain English, police cannot drag out a traffic stop longer than needed just to go on a fishing trip without proper reason. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. So once the traffic job is done, the stop should end unless the officer has a real legal reason to keep you there. That is why your timing matters. Do not ask this in the first 5 seconds while the officer is still explaining the stop. Ask it when your documents come back or when the warning or ticket is clearly done. And if the officer says no, do not argue. Just ask one calm follow-up if needed. Am I being detained for a crime or am I free to leave? Then stop talking. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because it helps show the moment the stop should have ended and whether the detention got stretched. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and this is where everything flips. Drivers either leave or they accidentally volunteer themselves into another 20 minutes of questioning. You do not want to be in that second group. Now let's tie all this together with the law in plain English. Pennsylvania versus Mims says the officer can order you out during a lawful traffic stop. That means do not act shocked.